everyone, you are listening to Ep.4 of SumoCast with me, Laura Young, and co-host Rebecca Sweetmore.
Hi.
This week we're joined by Sumo Sheffield art manager Chris Downey.
Hello.
And our internal art recruiter Hannah Burton.
Hi.
We're doing something a little bit different this week. We're going to be chatting about getting into the games industry and more specifically what you can do to make your art application and portfolio stand out. So thanks for joining us, Chris and Hannah. Can you give us a little bit of background into what you both do?
Yeah, so as an art manager, I am responsible for the organisation of all of the different artists on any particular project. So that would be VFX artists, character artists, UI artists, concept artists, environment artists, animators, and any others that I've forgotten, which I'm sure there are. But yeah, it's just making sure that the whole process runs smoothly. That everybody's working sort of in the most efficient ways, making sure that everybody's communicating with all the other disciplines, and ultimately that the work is properly resourced. We have the right amount of people and the right structure on a team to deliver what we need to deliver.
Cool. How about you, Hannah?
So as the arts recruiter, I'm responsible for recruiting the artists across all our UK studios. So from sourcing to offer stage, and then partly to do with onboarding as well, and everything in between.
So between you guys, you've probably seen a lot of applications and a lot of portfolios.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loads.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You kind of covered it when you were doing your introduction, Chris. There are many different disciplines within the art discipline in games anyway. So, where do you begin with somebody that, I don't know, is perhaps about to make their choices after A-levels and they want a career in games art? Where do you begin, giving them advice?
To be honest, I would always go with where does your heart lie, and what disciplines suit your skills. Do you have a particular interest in the characters from the games that you've played, or do you like the way that the environments and the backgrounds look? So for me, it's all about what is going to hold your interest. Once you've decided what that is, then you just really need to go for it and concentrate, gaining as much knowledge in those areas as you can. I know it's really hard to choose what particular discipline you want to go into at the very beginning, and there is room for you to sort of learn about them all and grow and develop into one particular area. But it is really good for you to try and understand what your interest is as early as you can. That will give you the best chance to have that passion and drive to achieve the level of quality that we would be looking for when we take somebody on.
So do you think university's necessary? Would you always advise that they go down that route, or does that depend on the discipline?
I've got my own opinion on this. When I see a CV or a portfolio, I'm not interested where they've been educated to get that result. I'm purely looking at their artistic skills. So for me, it's less important. However, I do understand that gaining a degree can help you in many other facets of life, and also does help if you are wanting to work abroad. And not everybody has the same attitude as I. But for me personally, whether you have a degree or not in game art is not something that I am looking for as a mandatory kind of prerequisite, I guess.
Yeah. What about on the recruitment side, Hannah? Is it a requirement?
To be honest, I'd say the same as Chris. I don't think it's definitely not mandatory. I think the most important thing is that somebody's got that passion, and that willing to self teach, as well as doing it in your spare time. I think that's more important. Obviously, there are benefits to doing a degree, as Chris said. So, yeah, it just depends, really.
Certainly, from my point of view, when Hannah sends through the amazing candidates that we get through, the first thing that I do is click on their portfolio link before I open their CV. Once I've looked at their work, I will then go to the CV if I feel that there's something in there that's captured my interest. So for me, it's always portfolio first. and CV second.
And what about things like competitions? So we've got things like Brains Eden or any sort of famous game jam competitions. Is that something that makes a candidate stand out for you?
For me, it does, yeah. We've recruited quite a few people through those avenues, and I think it's really important for people to take part in these things, because it's just another way of gaining experience, whether that be on top of your university course or whether it be that you're somebody that's just self-taught and has joined into these things. It's a way of just gaining more knowledge, and particularly the game jam type stuff. It gives you a really good indication of what it would be like, albeit in a short space of time, to work within the industry, working with multidisciplines. So you're working with code, you're working with designers, because that's something that is really, really key in what we do. It's that collaboration with all the different disciplines. So yeah, those kind of things are great. And, we love attending them and being on the judging panels and giving feedback to all these really enthusiastic people that have, taken a lot of time out. It shows a lot of passion and drive if you want to go and do those things above and beyond your standard learning.
Yeah, that's cool. I also have to give a shout out to Search for a Star and Grads in Games as well, because that's all kicking off at the moment,
of course,
with Aardvark Swift. Sorry, go on, Laura.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you have many applications coming from different industries where perhaps they've pursued art elsewhere and then they thought, oh, hang on, actually, games art is kind of cool? Are there any kind of comparable applications there, or do you have any advice for anyone that kind of wants to make the sidestep across?
So from my point of view, I think it's always really interesting to see candidates from other disciplines. We tend to get it for certain areas of game art more than we do others. Concept art is something where often candidates have come from elsewhere. Environment art also, if people have done architectural visualization, that's often a sidestep, and that's actually how I got into the industry as well. And some VFX artists as well, but there is a very different considerations when creating VFX for games as there are to pre-rendered video. So it's nice to show examples where you may have done some work to show that you can adapt to the constraints that games sort of provide, I guess. But I personally always find it really interesting to see portfolios from other industries, and certainly wouldn't discourage anybody from applying if that's what they wanted to get into. We certainly don't discount anybody, and it kind of goes back to the whole portfolio thing. Your background's a little less, certainly for the kind of lower end positions, that your background is of less importance. It's more about what are your skills as an artist, and what could you bring, and how could you develop within the industry that's important to me. And I like to see that potential when interviewing people as well.
So I guess you've mentioned portfolios there. What do you want to see in portfolios? Are there any kind of set things that you're looking for, or is it a case of them being a whole piece that showcases their style? Do you want to see different variations, different projects?
A couple of things that come to mind first is that a lot of, say, the more junior applicants that come through, I think that it's more important to, just to fill your portfolio with work that you've done. But it's definitely quality over quantity. It's definitely worth only putting your really good stuff in there. Just because if you put anything in there that's, say, not as strong as your strongest piece, then it just takes the attention away from, the really good stuff. That's the main thing in terms of, say, juniors coming through.
Yeah, I'd second that. The other thing for me is it kind of goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. When I look at your portfolio, I want to see what you're interested in. I want to see what art discipline you want to work in. So if you want to apply as a character artist, I only really want to see characters in your portfolio. I might like to see some sketches and some life drawing, but everything within your portfolio should be centered around that area that you're going into. If you're applying for environment art, I want to see environments, and Hannah would have heard this a million times when we've done portfolio sessions. together, I don't want to see individual props.
Yeah.
If you're applying as an environment artist, I want to see a finished environment scene, even if it's just cropped stills and it's, you know, framed for those final shots. I want to see what your fundamental skills are like in terms of composition, lighting, color theory, and storytelling. They're the main attributes and the main fundamentals of an artistic sort of talent. So doing a whole scene shows me that you have those skills. If I see individual props, if I see a gun prop, if I see a crate prop, if I see a vehicle prop, it doesn't really tell me as much. So I want to see how you bring all of those things together, because as an environment artist, that's what you'll be doing. You know, you'll be creating very few props, but you will be bringing those scenes together. You will be doing the early stages where you are creating the composition of a level along with a level designer. So you've got to have those core fundamental art skills.
Yeah. Are there any sort of other classic mistakes that people quite often make in their portfolios? So aside from individual props and putting too much junk in there, I guess.
Yeah, I think too many different art styles. If your skill is in a cartoony style, then don't have half cartoon and half realistic. By all means, have one realistic and mostly cartoon, and vice versa. But I kind of want to see where your strength is, and I want to see what your interest is. And just seeing a whole really broad range doesn't tell me where your passion is and what you want to do. It shows me that, yes, you might be able to do all of these different things, but I don't know what you want to do. And when I look at a portfolio, I want it to be clear to me what it is that you want to do and what you're passionate for.
I think just something else to add as well is make sure that you've got a portfolio that's easy to navigate, just due to the sheer amount of portfolios that, you know, we will get through for review. If we can, you know, click on, say, an art station and everything's there that we need to see and it's clearly laid out, that's definitely beneficial as well. Just having a nice layout of your work, you know, putting your best piece, say, at the front of a show reel or at the top of your portfolio. So it's right there for us to see at the beginning.
Bro, that was going to be my next question. So what format should they be sent in? Is there like do you have one that you prefer? Should it be maybe a PDF or a website or an ArtStation link? Is there anything that's easier for you guys?
I think personally my favourite to look at is ArtStation, just because it's a really nice layout and it is really easy to navigate. But, you know, if you've got your own website, if you have got, say, PDF files, that's fine as well. But I would say it's definitely worth, you know, having, say, an ArtStation, something that, you know, you can just literally kind of send out as a link. It's not too, you know, there's not too many bits to click on, and it's not hard to access.
I would 100% agree with that. For me, as somebody that reviews these things on a regular basis, it's so much easier just to click on an ArtStation link than to have to open up any other external files. And even your own website sometimes is, you know, you have to get into a strange kind of new mindset of trying to navigate something that you're not necessarily used to. I would say that 90% of our portfolio links come through as ArtStation. So that's kind of, it's really quick to just to go through, and there's a kind of consistency to everybody doing that, and that's quite nice for us.
So aside from good portfolios, what kind of, I guess, people skills, for want of a better phrase, do you look for in candidates?
So I guess, you know, people who are coming to work at Sumo and, you know, other studios, teamwork plays a massive part in the job. So knowing that, you know, you've, say, worked within a team before, knowing that you've got those skills to be able to work in a team with other disciplines as well. So not just art, you know, you'll be working alongside code, design, audio. That's definitely something we look at.
Yeah, I would agree. I think somebody that's, you know, good communication is key in what we do. So somebody that can confidently communicate and express their opinion on their work is really good. The other two things for me are, there are times in interviews, even if the work is absolutely amazing, that we will, I guess, test a little bit, where we will give there might be your best portfolio piece, and we might give some critical feedback on that. And it might be really harsh and it might be really picky. But part of the reason for doing that is to see how you react to us giving feedback. Because again, as an artist, you're going to be receiving feedback on a daily basis. And if you struggle with that, that will come out in interview. And that's always something. So don't be defensive when we're giving you feedback. If we didn't think your work was any good, you wouldn't be in the interview. So, exactly. But it's always nice to understand where you can improve things. So yeah, always think about that. Don't always think of it as an attack on your work. It's normally just how does this person deal with this as a situation? The other one that's really key for me is when I ask questions, I want your honest, legitimate answer. I don't want to hear what you think we want to hear.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because Sumo is quite flexible in where we can place people. We've got numerous different project types. So when we're asking questions about sort of preferred art styles and everything, don't think about the games that we may have previously done in order to try and get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
I want to know where you will best suit our company. And if we really, really like you, we'll find a place for you. But it's really important for us to understand what your passions are again and what you really want to be doing. Because ultimately, if you get in the door and then you don't enjoy it, you're going to be going somewhere else. And we don't want that. We want to nurture people and we want to grow people as much as we can within our industry for our benefit. So be completely honest with your answers. There aren't any trick questions that we ask. We just want your sort of sincere, heartfelt responses, really. So don't be too clever.
Don't be a smart aleck.
Yeah.
Do we set any other art tests for interviewees?
So yeah, we've got a few tests that we can send, more so for the more junior applicants. But not within every specialism. So we've got an environment test, we've got a VFX test. I'd say the VFX test is probably the one that we send out the most. Also character. So yeah, we've got a few that we sometimes send. It's not always, involved within the application process, but that is an option.
So you've kind of talked a little bit about what to expect in an interview, but do you have any kind of pro tips for people that might be going into an interview maybe in the coming weeks? Any quick advice you could give them?
Don't wear a suit.
Definitely not.
I love that one came up first as
well. To be honest, in our interview invitations, we say to people, don't worry about kind of dressing really smart. It's a relaxed environment. Wear something, that you feel comfortable in. Because, suit is definitely not necessary.
Yeah. And also we want to see you and what you're like as a person.
Yeah.
And what your personal expression is. That's really interesting and nice to see. We've got so many diverse people that kind of work with us, and it's just really, really nice to see what your own style and your own flair is. I guess it's kind of, particularly for an art discipline, it's nice to see people that are, have a confident way about them, and whether that be their style or the way they communicate, it's just really nice to see. But yeah, pro tips, no other than just be yourself. And like I said before, don't try too hard. Don't overthink your answers. We just kind of want to see what comes out of you naturally. Our interviews are normally really quite relaxed. They're quite free form. We have questions that we generally ask that are in the back of our minds that tend to come out in most interviews, but it normally evolves just through the conversation that we're having with you. It evolves through the walking through of your portfolio. And yeah, so it's just think of it as an informal chat. We like people to feel at ease.
Definitely. I'd say just a couple of things. I'd say to know about the studio that you're interviewing for, because the likelihood is a few questions will obviously come up about, your interest in applying, why you've applied. So do some research on the studio, apart from that, what Chris said, just be yourself.
Hannah, even though we're still in lockdown, are we still hiring for art positions? If so, whereabouts and what for?
Yeah, so we absolutely are still hiring for art positions. We've got art roles open in all our studios at the moment. So Newcastle, Nottingham, Sheffield, Chinese Room, Leamington. Some, I'd say, that stand out at the moment. We've got some technical artist positions open. And then I think that's pretty much across, say, Nottingham, Sheffield, and the Chinese Room at the moment. So we've got opportunities in each of those studios for senior technical artists. However, we're open to seeing, say, mid-level as well, people who might be, ready to take that next step into a more senior role. We've also got a concept artist position open in Nottingham, which is a really exciting role that's just come up. But yeah, we've got loads. We've got lighting art. We've got a VFX role. They're all on our website. There's literally all you need to do is go onto our careers page, filter out art, and all our roles will come up there. But also, if anyone is interested in having a chat about them more, then they can reach out, say on LinkedIn or on another social media platform as well.
Okay, when we put the podcast out, we'll make sure that the links to all of the relevant channels are in the description, so you can check it out there. One thing I did want to ask, which is my final question, I promise, is what are we doing regarding placement opportunities this year, or is that still quite up in the air?
So at the moment, I mean, our placement roles closed in February time, I think. But we've currently got a few people who have accepted offers with us who will be starting, and then we've got some final interviews still going ahead as well. So for the majority of our placements, that person would start in September, and I mean, hopefully by that point things might be a bit more normal. If not, then we're able to accommodate people working from home to begin with. And then I know some of our placements as well, starting, say, February time. So obviously that'd be next year, and we're really hoping by then things will be a bit more normal. But, again, we'd be able to look at other ways for someone to be able to start working with us, say, from home.
Yeah. And just so it's clear, placement opportunities are for people in their sandwich year at university, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. So for UK universities, it's for their sandwich year, and that's a full year in the industry, and it's really beneficial to do that as well. We've had, people do that year with us, and then they've received an offer to then come back after their final year at university and have done so. And then I know for some universities, it's for their end term, and again, we pretty much all the time, offer that person to continue with us as a full-time employee afterwards. So they are definitely really beneficial. And if anyone has the option to do a placement, I'd always recommend doing that.
So with us all on lockdown at the moment, we're still hiring and recruiting. How has the interview process been? Has it been a little different now it's all kind of through video chat?
Yeah, so it has been quite different. All our interviews at the moment are going through Microsoft Teams, where usually it would just be the first and second and then a final studio visit. But so far it's been quite successful. We're still making offers. It just means that basically the final interview involves, a few more people, because it's over Teams, I guess. So we just want to make sure that the person that we're interviewing is getting enough information that they need, and we're getting information that we need. But yeah, apart from that, it's still going ahead. They're going ahead fine. It's still successful.
There's one benefit actually at the moment to doing the video interviews from home. Like Hannah said, first and second interviews are often done by video anyway, but you'll be pleased to know that I haven't got video. Mine is only voice, so you won't get to see my ugly little face. So I'm going to be really, really happy.
Come on, Chris, it's not that bad.
There's a silver lining to this whole situation.
I bet that's less nerve-wracking for the candidate as well.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm going to order you a webcam.
To be fair, I have got a webcam on the laptop, but I hate doing interviews on it. So yeah, and the connection never seems to be very good on my laptop, so I just do it on my desktop. And yeah, I've got the headset, but I don't have the camera. I think it's beneficial for everybody.
That, and you don't have to get out of your pajamas to do an interview.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah and Chris, for your time. It's been awesome to catch up with you both, and hopefully you folks listening have got some handy advice as well. If you want to check out some of our open roles, head to sumo-digital.com/careers, or if you've got any questions, you can always email the recruitment team at sumo-recruitment@sumo-digital.com, or tweet us as well and we'll get back to you. To get a little behind the scenes look at what working from home looks like for our teams, you can also check out the hashtag #SumoFromHome. Since we've been in lockdown, we've been using it to stay connected with each other, and there are some cracking pics on there. Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you next time. Bye!